بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Hajj questions and answers. But let me start with something that if anyone going to Hajj knows, this is like 50% of what they need to know, if not even more, which is knowing the pillars of Hajj, the obligations of Hajj, and the restrictions of Hajj. And what would you do if you miss one of those, or if you violate one of the restrictions of Hajj? If you know this, you know, I'm not going to say even 50%, it's almost like 70 to 80% of the knowledge you need to know. Let's start with the pillars of Hajj. What are the pillars of Hajj? Brother Ziyad, do you know them? Al-Ihram. Is it al-Ihram, is it the two pieces of clothes, or is it the niyyah? Okay, so we say niyyat al-Ihram. Okay, so niyyah, because when we say al-Ihram, you can understand it in two different ways. It could mean the niyyah, the intention, and it could mean the clothes, al-libas, right? Okay, so niyyat al-Ihram and al-wuquf bi-Arafah. Tawaf, which tawaf? Al-Ifada, okay? And the sa'i bayn al-Safa, sa'i al-Hajj, right? So we call it sa'i al-Hajj because there's another sa'i al-Umrah, and there are two other tawafs. The tawaf al-Qudum, there's tawaf al-Wada'. So we're talking about tawaf al-Ifada. So these are the four pillars of al-Hajj. If you miss one of those pillars, your Hajj is invalid. Okay. Now we move on to the wajibat al-Hajj, the obligations of Hajj. The obligations of Hajj are what? Now when we said the al-Ihram, we said the niyyat al-Ihram, the intention. Okay. There's something comes with it, which is actually two things that come with it, not one. Number one, the place. Where would you set that niyyah up? Where would you say it or have it? So the location, this is wajib. What is the location of al-Ihram, niyyat al-Ihram? If you're coming from different directions, you have different mawaqit, you know? But if you're flying, then whenever you fly over the miqat, the pilot usually announces that. So we call this al-miqat, or makan al-miqat. So al-Ihram min al-miqat, this is an obligation, right? And there's something else, which is what? Al-malabis, you know? Al-izar wal-rida. For the man, these two pieces of clothes. And for the sisters, whatever clothes they feel comfortable in, as long as they're not tight, and as long as the clothes are not transparent. You know, it's something that has the dignity of Muslimah, and something that is acceptable in Islam. It should be fine, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so these are two wajibat, right? So an-niyyah itself is what? Rukn, a pillar. The clothes of al-Ihram is wajib, and the location, the place where you say the niyyah, not put on, because you can put on before. Let's say you're flying from here, from America, so before you arrive to Jeddah, right? The pilot will announce that we are now flying over the miqat. So you say your name. But what if you put on your ihram from here? Is that a problem? That's not a problem. You can put on your ihram from America, right? And then you fly with your ihram. Or you can put on your ihram in the last layover, in the last stop, before Jeddah, okay? You can do that. But the niyyah itself, when you say the niyyah, should be when you fly over al-miqat. What if you say the niyyah earlier? What if you say the niyyah in this, like you have a layover in Qatar, or in Tunisia, or in Cairo, and you set your niyyah up, you have the niyyah for the Hajj, or you speak it out, you say labbaik Allahumma hajjan, or labbaik Allahumma umrah, mutamatti'an bihi ila al-Hajj. Is this haram? No, it's not haram, but the ulama say you have to have a reason for that. If your reason is you may be afraid that you may miss it, because you know some people sleep when they fly, right? They just sleep, and maybe when they wake up, they're already in Jeddah, so they miss the miqat. Or maybe they are afraid that the pilot will forget to announce that they are flying over the miqat. So they said, what if this happens? What should I do? So you know what? I'm just gonna say my niyyah in the last stop. Is this haram? No, the ulama say, in that case, it is not haram. If you just want to be on the safe side, you put on your ihram in the last stop, and you even say the niyyah of al-hajj just to be on the safe side, there is no problem with that, inshallah ta'ala. But what if you miss it? What if you sleep and you just wake up in Jeddah? Or the pilot forgets? What should you do? Well, in that case, you have one of two options. Option number one, you find a taxi driver that takes you back to al-miqat. Okay? And you say the niyyah there from al-miqat. Option number two is what? You do hadi. You have you slaughter a sheep in al-haram. The next wajib, the next obligation, al-wuquf bi-Arafah. We said al-wuquf bi-Arafah is a pillar. But until when? Until Maghrib. So waiting or staying in Arafah until Maghrib is an obligation, wajib. Staying in Arafah itself is a pillar. Staying in Arafah until Maghrib, this is wajib. What if you go to Arafah for a couple hours? You arrive in Arafah 1 p.m. and you leave 3 p.m. Did you meet the pillar? Yes, you met the pillar. Yes, you met the pillar because you stayed in Arafah for a couple hours. And your Hajj, inshallah, valid. But you did not wait till Salat al-Maghrib. You just left too early. Now you're missing the wajib. In that case, you have what? To do hadi. You have to slaughter sheep. Okay. Al-mabitu bi-Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah or Jama' or al-Mash'ar al-Haram or Muzdalifah, which is the night after Arafah. Like when you're done with Arafah, you move on to Muzdalifah, you sleep or you stay over the night. You don't have to actually sleep. You can be awake all night if you want, you know. But this is what? This is a wajib. You have to do it. What if you miss it? If you miss it, then you have to do hadi. Okay? طيب. And then al-mabitu fi Mina. Al-mabitu bi Mina. We mentioned that you can stay in Mina for day number 8 of the Hijjah, but this is sunnah. This is not wajib. Like if you miss day number 8 and you just go to Arafah, from Mecca to Arafah, this is okay, this is acceptable. So there's nothing wrong with missing day number 8 in Mina. But if you miss sleeping or staying the night in Mina on the day of the Eid, on the 11th and 12th, if you finish your Hajj on the 12th, or the 13th if you finish your Hajj on the 13th, then in that case you're missing wajib and you have to do hadi. Right. The next pillar, the next wajib obligation is al-halqu or al-taqsir, shaving or trimming and cutting your hair. This is a wajib. And then tawaf al-wada' for people, for men and women who are not on their period. Because if there's a sister who has her period, before doing tawaf al-wada', then she can skip tawaf al-wada' and do no hadi, nothing, and her hajj is valid, inshallah. Okay? So these are what? These are the wajibat al-hajj. So what are wajibat al-hajj again? Is to do al-ihram in al-miqat, the place of al-ihram, and then to put on as a man the izar and the rida. For the sisters could be any cloth. And then to stay in Arafah until Maghrib, okay? And then to stay the night in Muzdalifah, or at least more than half of the night in Muzdalifah. And then to stay in Mina for the Ayyam al-Tashriq, you know. And then Rami al-Jimar, stoning al-Shaytan, you know, this is also an obligation. And then al-Halqu or al-Taqsir, you know, shaving. And then Tawaf al-Wada', the farewell or the goodbye Tawaf. You do this right before you leave Mecca. So these are what? These are the obligations. These are the wajibat al-Hajj. Okay, what happens if you miss one of the wajibat al-Hajj? Fidya. Okay, what if you are ignorant or you forget? What if you just say, Wallahi, no one told me that I had to stay the night in Muzdalifah. No one told me that I had to wait in Arafah until al-Maghrib, until sunset. No one told me that I have to do Rami and Shumar. No one told me. I was just ignorant. Or someone says, oh, you know what? I was not ignorant, but I just forgot. I just forgot, you know? Is that a legitimate and valid excuse? This is not a valid excuse. So when you miss one of the wajibat, whether you know you miss it, or you forgot, or you're ignorant of it, we don't care what the reason is. You miss wajib, you have to do hadi. Can I do something else? Can I fast 3 days? Can I feed 6 poor people? Is that possible? If I miss one of the wajibat?
If you don't have money for the hadi.
We're talking about the wajibat now, missing one of them. You don't stay in Arafah until sunset. You don't stone the shaitan. You don't stay in the night in Muzdalifah. You don't do tawaf al-wada'. You don't stay the nights in Mina Yom Tashriq. You miss one of those wajibat.
I think that they, like if you don't have the money for the hadi,
Okay.
Hajj was about it.
Well, this is a different topic. I'm going to come to this one, but I'm talking about the things that I just mentioned now. This is the only option you have to do hadi, or do you have other options? Can you fast? Can you feed poor people? No, you cannot. There's only one option, which is what? Al-hadi. So if you miss a wajib, you have only one option, which is to do hadi, to slaughter sheep or goat. Okay? Right. The ayah that says, فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ فِي الْحَجِّ وَسَبْعَةٍ إِذَا رَجَعْتُمْ. This one is for the people who do Hajj al-Tamattu and they cannot afford to slaughter sheep. Okay, you're doing Hajj al-Tamattu, right? And you know, in Hajj al-Tamattu, it's wajib to do al-hadi, you know? But you don't have the money. Maybe your money was stolen, something happens to you, you needed the money for something else, and you ended up being unable to pay for the hadi. Then in that case, you fast 3 days in Mecca, and then 7 days when you go back to your home country. But other than that, you have to do the fidya. And what is the fidya? We said the fidya is dabh, yani shab. طيب. Now we move on to محظورات الإحرام, the restrictions. There are some restrictions. Once you are...
Is there any number for the hadi? Like how much? Or that's...
What do you mean by any?
Like the hadi is when you go to the market.
Yes.
Something is $100, something. I'm just...
yes.
People who are poor, you can afford it, but you don't have to get a big sheep.
Exactly.
Or a cow or whatever you can.
Yeah. Ulama Saudiya, the Saudi scholars, most of them say that the conditions of al-udhiyah should apply to the al-fidya or al-hadi. If you're doing sheep, it has to be 6 months or older. It has to be sound. If it has horns, none of the horns should be broken. The legs should be fine. It should not be too thin, you know, hazila, wala arja, wala maksurat al-qarn, you know. If it's a goat, then it has to be 1 year or more, you know. So they say the conditions of al-udhiyah apply to the conditions of al-fidya and al-hadi. But actually, other scholars say, no, we don't have any evidence that says that these conditions should apply. So they said, based on how much you can afford. You don't have to find a sheep that is 6 months or older, that is sound, that is fat, you know what I mean? No, they said, you don't have to do that. And alhamdulillah, al-amr fi si'ah, it's whether you want to be on the safe side and find some sheep or goat that has the same conditions of al-udhiyah, that's fine. If not, you should be fine with any sheep or goat, inshallah ta'ala.
No, nowadays they say that you just pay.
Yes, they have this service, yeah, which is completely acceptable. Yeah, I think Bank al-Rajhi, the Rajhi
Yeah,
Bank,
that-
and you know other companies, they do that. They say you don't have to worry about it. If you have to do fidya or hadi, you know, you just pay us and then we'll take care of it. You definitely can do that.
And for them it's the same price for all.
I think
This is
so.
what I heard, yeah, it's the same price.
Yeah, to the best of my memory, it was the same price. Yes, wallahu alam. طيب. محظورات الإحرام, the restrictions of ihram. Once you are in ihram status, there are some restrictions that you cannot violate. Okay, what are these? You know them?
Yeah.
You're going to Hajj, you have to know them. What are they?
Relation with your wife.
For sure, this is the top one, like intimacy. You know, intimacy is, what? Strongly prohibited. You actually invalidate your Hajj if you do it. Okay, what else?
Stay calm. Stay calm.
Staying calm, okay, you have to stay calm, yeah, يعني الله عز وجل يقول فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال. Don't argue, yes, okay,
No fragrance.
yes, no fragrances, no perfumes, yeah,
For men, not to cover them.
not to cover your head if you are a man, yes, and if you are a sister, not to cover your face, okay.
Don't have to
Well.
put your hair
Mm-hmm.
angles.
You should not shave or cut your hair or trim your nails or cut your nails. Yes? Okay. How about hunting? No one does hunting these days, but you know, you have to know that it's one of the restrictions. Just in case you're in Arafah and you see some kind of animal you want to hunt, you know. No. Okay, what else? There's another one.
Not getting married.
Not to get married. No. Mm-hmm.
Shoes.
Yes, not to put on the shoes that covers your leg until the ankle, you know, yeah, and covers the top of your foot, yes, and for men to wear anything that is tailored to your body, like pants, t-shirt, cap, you know what I mean, anything like that is completely haram, restricted. How about socks? Can you put on your socks on your foot? No, this is restricted. How about gloves? Can you put on gloves? No, this is restricted. How about the sisters? Can they put on gloves?
No.
No, they cannot. But can they put on socks? Yes, they can. Okay. Can sisters wear makeup? No, they cannot. Okay. So for the sisters, they're not allowed to cover their hands, their faces, or put on wear makeup, maquillage, or cover their faces, of course. For men, they should not, or they cannot cover their heads with something that touches their head. But if there is a space between your head and whatever you're trying to use to maybe for the sun, because if it's too sunny, too hot, umbrella, and you're using an umbrella, and if you are inside a car, this should be fine, no problem with that, inshallah. Okay, so the problem with covering the head is something that touches your head. That's the problem. Okay, now what if you, and this is a big difference. Now I want you to pay attention to this one. Okay, what if you violate one of these restrictions? What should you do? Now here comes details that you should be aware of these details. The ulama say, if you are unaware of this, you don't know that this was a restriction. Like you say, oh, wallahi, I didn't know that I should not cover my head, or I didn't know that I should not cut my nails, and I didn't know that I should not put some perfume. No one told me. I was ignorant. So in this case, you say what? You're fine, alhamdulillah. There's nothing you should do. Okay, what if someone says, I forgot? Oh, wallahi, you know what? I completely forgot. I know, but I completely forgot. Should they do hadi, fidya? No, they should not. That's fine. So if you forget, nothing wrong, alhamdulillah. If you don't know, you're just ignorant of it, there's nothing wrong with that, alhamdulillah. So the fidya here comes only when you are aware of this. You know that you are doing something restricted. Someone might say, well, do people do that? They know that this is restricted and yet they do it? Yeah, for different reasons. Like what? For medical reasons. What if someone, they had a problem, on their head and they have to cover it. They have to cover their heads. In that case, we say what? In that case, we say what? Yes, you can cover your head and do what? What is the fidya? And I told you, we have to violate the restrictions. We have details. When we were talking about the obligations, وواجبات الحج, we say if you miss one of the obligations, you have to do what? Fidya. No matter what, you forgot, you didn't know, it doesn't matter. You have to do fidya. There's nothing else, like no other option. Just the fidya, okay? The slaughtering of an animal. Do I have other options? No, there are no other options. But when it comes to violating the restrictions, there are options. And first we ask, did you know? If you say, yes, I know, then we move on. Did you forget? No, I did not. Then we move on. You have to do now the fidya. What is the fidya? What is the kafara? To be more specific. You have to do kafara. What is the kafara? One of three. What is the first one? Al-fidya, okay, which is slaughtering an animal. What is the second one?
To fast.
Fast how many days?
3 days there.
3 days. Where? In Mecca? It doesn't have to be in Mecca. Yes. What is the third option?
To give food for 6.
To feed 6 poor people in Mecca. Okay? Is this clear? Because if what I have said so far, up until this moment, if you know it, alhamdulillah, you know like 70% of the Hajj. If you know the pillars of Hajj, what happens if you miss one of the pillars? Basically, you're not doing Hajj. Your Hajj is invalid. Okay. The obligations. What happens if you miss one of the obligations? Hadi. Doesn't matter if you forgot or if you didn't know. No, it doesn't matter. You forgot one of the obligations, you have to do Hadi. The restrictions of the ihram. If you do one of the restrictions, then we ask. If you did it because you forgot, then there's nothing. You don't have to do anything. If you did it because you didn't know, okay, there's nothing on you, alhamdulillah. But if you did not forget and you remember and you intentionally do it, then you have to do what? Kafara. What is the kafara? One of the three. It's either the hadi, the fidya yani, the slaughtering an animal, or fasting 3 days in Mecca or after you come back, or feeding 6 poor people. Like, what if someone is disabled? They're not able to move. It's so hard for them. He's a man. It's so hard for him to put on ihram, the izar and the rida. Can they do Hajj in their regular clothes? Just t-shirt and pants?
They have violated the wajib.
Yeah, someone,
It's a wajib.
Yeah, but their Hajj, is it valid or invalid?
You have to pay some expense.
Yes, their Hajj is valid, but then they have to do what? They have to do the kafara. And the kafara is one of the three we said. Either the fidya, the slaughtering, or the feeding or the fasting. Okay? What if someone, they put on perfume intentionally. They say, I smell so bad and I'm just going to use perfume. And I know that I should not, but I'm going to use perfume. We say what? Your Hajj is valid, but you have to do the kafara. Okay. What if someone gets married? What if someone in the status of ihram, they saw some random woman and they like them and they propose and they want to do aqd al-nikah. The aqd al-nikah is batil, although there is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ married one of his wives, I think Maria, in a ihram status, but the ulama talk a lot about this. I'm not going to take you into details, But if you do nikah in ihram, the nikah is invalid. And you have to redo the nikah again after you're out of the ihram status. Okay, طيب. تقليم الظافر. Now, we move on to the questions, inshallah ta'ala. This book that we're reading from, for a group of scholars, have very good questions. I'm going to pick some of these questions. The book is 152 pages, and we're not going to read all of it, but just some of the fatawa, you know. So it's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay. The question is ما معنى الرفث في قوله تعالى الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال. فسوق means disobedience, and you should not disobey Allah. Jidal means argument, like you should not argue. But what is rafath? Allah says if you're doing hajj, don't do rafath. What is rafath? It is intimacy and anything that leads to intimacy with your wife. Okay? طيب المزاحمة في الحج. المزاحمة is the stampede, when like a lot of people, they're going into one direction and they're pushing one another. You know, this is called stampede or muzahama. Does this affect the hajj? The Sheikh says, the Sheikh bin Baz, he says that it does not invalidate the hajj, but you can hurt other people, and if you do, then you get basically you get bad deeds for hurting other people. Okay, al-ishtirat. This is a very good question. What is al-ishtirat? Conditioning. What is conditioning in al-hajj? Conditioning is when you do ihram and you say, فَإِنْ حَبَسَنِي حَابِسٌ فَمَحِلِّي حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي. There's a sister, and she's afraid that her period will come during the hajj. But there's a brother who doesn't have the hajj license, and he's afraid that if the authorities find out about him, they will deport him in the middle of the hajj. Or someone who's afraid that he might get into an accident and not being able to complete the hajj, okay? So they can do al-ishtirat. What is al-ishtirat again? When you're doing your ihram, you say this sentence, فَإِنْ حَبَسَنِي حَابِسٌ. If something happens to me that stops me from completing the hajj, فَمَحِلِّي حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي. So I come out of ihram where this happens to me. So if this happens to anyone, okay, and they are in the status of ihram, and for some reason they cannot complete the hajj, they just go home. As easy as that. You just go home. But what if they didn't do that? What if they didn't do the ishtirat from the beginning? What if they didn't say, فَإِنْ حَبَسَنِي حَابِسٌ فَمَحِلِّي حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي? Then they have to do what? Fidya. And then they go home. Okay, so to avoid doing fidya, you say this sentence when you do the ihram, فَإِنْ حَبَسَنِي حَابِسٌ فَمَحِلِّي حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي. And that's from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, taught this to one of his wives. طيب. الإحرام بالصبي. Did you say something?
Just when,
Yeah.
This is when he went home. But if he is ill or go to the hospital or something like this,
Yeah, I cannot continue the hajj, yes.
it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Any reason that stops you from completing your hajj, whether you go home or you stay in Mecca, or for some reason you cannot go to Arafah or whatever. If you want to avoid the fidya, you say that from the beginning. Okay, for the sisters, can they take what is called the pills? I think they call it the contraceptive pill, right? Is that right, doctor? Contraceptive pill, the pills that stop their period. Is that halal? Yes, that's halal. Nothing wrong with that. If a sister want to take a pill or two, or whatever, no matter how many pills, to just stop her cycle until she's done with the hajj, that should be fine, inshallah. A question that says children, can they do hajj? The answer is yes, they can do hajj, but it doesn't count towards the one required hajj. When they become mature, adolescent, then they will have to do another hajj. Can a woman travel on her own? Okay. Well, actually, the sheikh here says no, she cannot. She has to travel with a mahram. What is mahram? A male relative that is immediate relative. Could be a father, a husband first, could be a father, could be an adolescent son, it could be an adolescent brother, it could be an uncle, you know? Any male relative that the woman cannot marry. This is called mahram. So the Shaykh here says no, she has to travel with a mahram. But actually, the correct opinion, scholarly opinion, is that she can travel without a mahram if she's traveling with a group of women. Or even some scholars said if a group with honest men. What is the dalil? The wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they performed Hajj after the Prophet ﷺ passed away with Abdurrahman bin Auf. And Abdurrahman bin Auf is not their mahram. And yet, they traveled with him, you know, from Medina to Mecca. The next question, can the husband stop his wife from performing Hajj? Does he have the right? The Shaykh says no, he does not have the right to do so. It's the woman should ask his permission. I want to go to Hajj. Okay? If he says no, then in that case she will say no, I will go to Hajj. Whether you accept it or you deny it, whether you come with me or you don't come with me, because by going to Hajj you're obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. You cannot obey a makhluk when he asks you to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone says, if someone doesn't pray and they go to Hajj, will Allah accept their Hajj? The Shaykh says it depends. If they don't pray because they deny it, the juhud, they say, well, like, what is this praying? What is this nonsense? Then he's basically not even a Muslim and his Hajj will not be accepted. But if he does not pray because he's just too lazy, you know, then his Hajj will be accepted, inshallah ta'ala. If someone dies and he did not perform Hajj, should we perform Hajj on his behalf? Yes, if you can. If you are one of his family members, you do that. Or if you are even not related to him. One of the scholars, he said that he has performed Hajj on many scholars whom he knew that they never performed Hajj. Who lived hundreds of years ago, like 500, 600 years ago. And this Shaykh knew that they did not perform Hajj, so he said, I performed Hajj on their behalf. Okay. Someone says, what if you have debts? Should you go to Hajj or pay your debt? The priority goes to what? The Shaykh says the priority goes to your debt. Pay off your debt first, and then go to Hajj. Unless the person gives you permission. Let me say, like I borrow 10,000 from brother Ziyad, okay, and I want to go to Hajj, and I paid 10,000 Hajj. No, I should give it to you. Unless you give me permission, say, brother, you know what, just go, and you can pay me later, inshallah. Okay. Bismillah. Performing Hajj with stolen money. Someone robs someone else to perform Hajj. Is this Hajj accepted or not? Is this Hajj valid or not valid? The Shaykh says, there are two opinions for the scholars. This is Shaykh bin Baz, rahmatullah. And the opinion that the Shaykh adopts and follows is that the Hajj is valid and accepted, inshallah, if the Hajj is done the right way. But then the money, then the guy, you know, he's actually committing an evil deed by stealing the money, but the Hajj is valid. But the Shaykh says some scholars say the Hajj is invalid. Of course, don't do that. Okay. Someone says, can I borrow money to perform Hajj? The Shaykh says, no, don't do that. If you don't have the money, your own money, to perform Hajj, then Hajj is not an obligation upon you until you have your own money. You know, you don't have to borrow money from someone to do Hajj. Okay.
So you can steal but not borrow.
Yeah. Someone says, can someone do Hajj on behalf of someone else that they're not related for money? You know, they pay them money. The Hajj, the Sheikh says yes, they can, but they should not take that as business. Unfortunately, some people do. It's like business. Hey, you know, I'm going to go to Hajj this year, and I perform at Hajj on myself. By the way, you cannot do Hajj on someone's behalf until you do your own Hajj first. But some people, as I said, wallahi, they do it business. You give me 5,000 and I do Hajj on, you know, on whoever you want. The Sheikh says, no, it should not be business. But he said, if you want to help someone and they give you money, yeah, you can take that or this money. Okay. النيابة في الحج. Someone says, what if I cannot stone the devil? I cannot go and stone the devil. Can I ask my husband or my brother to do that on my behalf? The Sheikh says yes, they can do that. Let's say it's too crowded, or you cannot walk for some reason, you have a medical problem, and someone healthy with you, and you are in the Hajj with them. So they can go and stone the devil, the shaitan, on your behalf. This is accepted, inshallah ta'ala. Someone says, my mom is still alive, but she is too old and cannot go to Hajj. Can I go to Hajj and perform Hajj on her behalf? The Sheikh says yes. Because some people think that to perform Hajj on someone's behalf, they have to be dead. The correct answer is no. No. They can still be alive, but cannot perform Hajj. You can perform it on their behalf, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. I'm just passing, skipping some. Someone says, can I do ihram from Jeddah when I arrive? The Sheikh says no. You cannot do ihram from Jeddah. You have to go to one of the miqats to do the ihram, but not from Jeddah, because Jeddah is not a place for ihram. Okay, someone says, what if I want to do more than one umrah? Can I have the ihram from Mecca? The Sheikh says, no, you have to leave Mecca and go to the miqat, and the closest miqat is Masjid Aisha, or they call it Tan'im. And there are a lot of buses, by the way, and taxis. You just say Masjid Aisha or at Tan'im, so they will take you for maybe 20 riyals. You do ihram, and then you come to Mecca and you perform umrah.
But this is only for Umrah.
Yes, this is for umrah. For Hajj, you do it from Zad. What day are you arriving in Mecca for your Hajj?
From where?
What day are you arriving in Mecca for Hajj this year? What day of the Hijjah?
It will be 9th of June.
9th of June, right?
It will be the 2nd or 3rd.
2nd or 3rd of the Hijjah. And your Hajj is not going to start until 8th, okay? So you have the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. You have 4 days. Can you perform umrahs? Have you been to Mecca before? No, okay. So you can perform more umrahs. You can perform 4 umrahs on these 4 days. Every single day, you go to Tan'im, okay? You make ihram, and then you come back to Umrah and perform umrah on your mom's behalf or father's behalf. You know what I mean? On yourself, you can do more than umrah, more than one umrah, I mean, okay? Okay. Someone says, I forgot to say labbaik Allahumma labbaik. You say it once you put on your ihram, you start saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, inna al-hamda wal-ni'mata laka wal-mulk la sharika lak. Remember that, Anas? We said last year. And then you keep saying that in a loud voice. labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. He says, I forgot to say that. The Sheikh says, At-Talbiyah is Sunnah. There's nothing wrong if you forgot. Some, to be honest with you, some scholars say it's not. Right? It's wajib. But yeah, inshallah.
How many times you have to do it?
As many times as you want. As many times as you want. Until you finish your Umrah. And then when you start the Hajj, you do the Talbiyah until you stone the first devil, Al-Jamal Al-Kubra.
But you say it in not
Alaykum
continuously.
salam.
You need to say it from time to time. But is there any sunnah numbers of?
No, there is not any specific number you have to repeat the talbiyah. But you do talbiyah, you do dua, you do istighfar, adhkar, Right. We move on, inshallah. Okay. Can you change the niyyah of the Hajj? Like you're doing Hajj Ifrad and then you want to do it tamattu? Yes, you can. There's nothing wrong with that, inshallah. Can you take a shower during Ihram? Yes, you can. Can you put perfume? No, you cannot. It's restricted. Okay, when you do al-Ihram, do you have to speak it out? Do you have to say Labbaik Allahumma Umratan Mutamatti'an biha al-Hajj, or is it something in the heart? It must be in the heart first, but then if you want to speak that out, this should be fine. Can you have the niyyah to do 2 Hajj at the same time? Yes? Like you say, oh Allah, this is an intention for Hajj, for a combined Hajj, one for myself and one for my mom. No, you cannot. Hajj is only, the niyyah is only for one time. You cannot do combined niyyah. Because the combined niyyah works for particular stuff in the Hajj. Like what? Like Tawaf al-Ifada, for example. Tawaf al-Ifada, we said it's a pillar. Tawaf al-Wada' is an obligation. Can you combine both? Yes, you can. With one niyyah, okay, you can combine both tawafs and just do one instead of 2. Even if you don't have any medical reason, you're healthy and you're fine and you're strong and you're young, but you just want to do it combined. That's not a problem. But that's not the better option. The better option is you do them separate. You do Tawaf al-Ifada on the day of Eid, and then you do Tawaf al-Wada' right before you leave.
And for Tawaf al-Qudum and Tawaf al-Umrah,
yes.
you can do
Tawaf al-Qudum for the al-Mufrid, Hajj al-Mufrid. Not for you. Al-Mutamatti', your Tawaf al-Qudum will be actually Tawaf al-Umrah. Yes.
Do niyyah for the same.
Yes, it's going. You just do one tawaf and it's tawaf al-Qudum and tawaf al-Umrah at the same time. And then you do sa'i, and then you cut your hair, and then you take off your ihram and put on your regular clothes, and you wait until day 8, and then you put on the ihram back again. طيب. Okay. Can you put on a belt? Some people, for their izar, they need a belt around their waist to hold it tight. Is this halal or haram? Is it restricted? No, it's not restricted. It is completely fine. You can put on a belt to, tighten your izar. Can I change the ihram and put on another one? Yes, you can. As long as it's another ihram, Can the ihram be in a different color than white? Green or black? Yes, but
I had a question after that.
sure.
When you go to the haram, do you pray as a traveler or do you pray like full?
Good question. Okay, you're praying behind the imam, and the imam al-haram is praying full salah, so you pray full salah. But then when you go to Mina on day number 8, then you cut it down. The 4 rak'at salah, you cut it down to 2. When you go to Arafah, when you go to Muzdalifah, Mina, that's the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. The gloves, we said it's restricted for both men and women.
For colors.
Oh, for colors, yes. What do you think?
No.
No?
Don't know.
What do you think, Brother Amr?
I've seen shades of white, but like blue, like light.
Yeah, blue, like pure blue or pure black or pure red ihram. Is this permissible or not permissible? It is actually permissible. Yes, it's preferred to be white, but being white is not an obligation. It's sunnah. So for some reason, and I've seen this by the way, not too many, but I've seen this, that some people to identify one another, they're grown as group, so they put like yellow. If I'm not mistaken, I think I saw yellow ihram. Some people put signs when I'm talking about the color of the ihram itself. Yes?
I saw blue.
You saw blue? Yeah. So yeah, it's not haram, it is permissible. Okay. The question says, is there a specific cause for the sisters for ihram? The Sheikh says no. Any yani, Islamically acceptable female clothing is okay for sister. As long as it's not tight, it is not transparent, then it should be fine, inshallah ta'ala. The restrictions of ihram, we talked about the restrictions of the ihram. He says, what if someone cuts his hair and he doesn't know that it's restricted? Someone doesn't know that cutting the hair is restricted during ihram, and he cuts it out of ignorance. What should he do? Nothing. We said if you violate one of the restrictions, if you don't know or if you forgot, there's nothing on you. He says, what if the hair falls off by itself, like, without even me touching it? There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. You know, some people, when they take a shower, their hair just falls off, right? So that's not a problem. What if someone says, what if I put on pants? You know, pants. It's restricted. The Sheikh says, no, you cannot do that. But if you do that, you cannot do that if you know. But if you're ignorant or if you forgot, there's nothing you can do. That should be fine. But if you intentionally put on pants and you are a man, because if you're a sister, that's fine. You can put on pants. That's not a problem. But if you're a man and you put on pants, then you have to do what? What is the kafara? Hadi, you slaughter an animal.
Or 3 days.
Or fast 3 days. Or feed 6 masakin. Good, okay. And some people do that, by the way. I said some people who are disabled and they have some problems with their body and they cannot put on the ihram. They do ihram in their regular clothes. And some people, they do that as a trick because there is a security checkpoint at the gate of Mecca, and if you don't have a Hajj license and you put on your ihram, they don't allow you to come in. But if you are in your regular clothes, they will let you know, they will let you go. So some people intentionally put on their regular clothes until they pass the security check, and then they put on their ihram. So if they do so, they have to do kafara. What if you have a wet dream? What if you have a wet dream that's out of your control, right? You just take a shower, you just made a ghusl. Okay. What if a sister has her period during Hajj? What should she do? The Sheikh says, because I read all of this so that I know this. The Sheikh says, if the woman has her period arrive during Hajj, before Ihram or after Ihram, it doesn't matter. She does everything as a regular Hajj except for Tawaf حوالين al-Kaaba, around the Kaaba. That's the only thing that she should not do. And she should wait until what? Until her cycle or her period is over. She takes a shower and then she does the Tawaf. But he said if she is scheduled to leave Mecca, right, before her period ends, he said in that case she can do the Tawaf. But she doesn't have to do the Tawaf al-Wada, because Tawaf al-Wada is not an obligation upon sisters with periods. Yes?
If you ate many days in Ramadan and then you wanted to make up, so you wore pants and then you chose to fast 3 days, do they count as the makeup?
Good job. No, they don't count. If you missed some days from Ramadan, you want to make them up, then that's a different story. But they don't count towards the days of Al-Hajj. طيب. Let's pick another question. If a sister gives birth during Hajj, what should she do? Yeah, some sisters who are pregnant, they go to Hajj hoping that they deliver during the Hajj because they think it's barakah, it's a blessing. It's a good sign for the baby to be born during the Hajj season. Yeah, some people think this way. So what should she do? She just, as a sister with her period, she should do the Hajj as a regular Hajj, except for Tawaf. If she can wait until she's done with the nifas, with the 40 days nifas after, the birth, she does the Tawaf. If not, then she can do the Tawaf and then leave, inshallah. But yeah, she can do Hajj. Okay. Do I have to have wudu for Tawaf? What do you think? Can you do Tawaf without wudu?
Different opinions.
Like
Two
Salah.
opinions, I think.
We have majority opinions and we have minority opinion.
The majority say you have to.
The majority says you have, because it's like Salah. The majority opinion is like you have to what? To do wudu for Tawaf. But how about the Hanafi people? The Hanafi madhab? The Hanafi madhab says no, you don't have to have wudu. You can do Tawaf without wudu. If you break your wudu on Tawaf, that's fine. Just keep going until you're done with your Tawaf. But the other three madhabs say no. If you break your wudu in Tawaf, you have to cut your Tawaf, you stop, go make your wudu, and then come back and continue your Tawaf. If the time between cutting the Tawaf to go to make wudu and come back is too long, then you have to start over.
Malikiya is more difficult. You have to restart your Tawaf.
Yeah, they're very restricted. Okay, how about sa'i? Do you have to have wudu for sa'i?
No.
No, you don't. All the scholars say no. You can do sa'i without wudu. Can you put on your shoes when you do tawaf and sa'i? Shoes, just like the slippers, not the regular shoes. Yes, that's not haram to do the tawaf and sa'i in the slippers. Okay. Can someone do the tawaf on my behalf or sa'i on my behalf? The Sheikh says no. You can do stoning on someone else's behalf, but not tawaf or sa'i. Yes, Muhammad Ali.
Do you have to have your wudu to do your Hajj?
Only tawaf. Yeah, and salah, of course, because when you Hajj, you have to pray 5 times a day. But other than that, no. Okay. أعمال يوم النحر, when you are on the day of Eid. يوم النحر is called يوم الحج الأكبر. وأذان من الله ورسوله إلى الناس يوم الحج الأكبر. So يوم الحج الأكبر, some people say it's يوم عرفة, but it's not يوم عرفة. It is يوم العيد, يوم النحر. يوم الحج الأكبر, what are the actions that you do as a Hajj?
You have to
Stone the shaitan, okay. How many? The 3 jamarat or 1 jamrat? Jabrat al-Aqaba, the big one, okay.
You have to
Shave or cut your hair.
you have to do
Tawaf,
tawaf
sa'i, and slaughtering the animal. Five things. You don't have to do all of them, by the way, on that day. You can delay some of them. But is there a specific order? There is a specific order. You do Rami first, stoning the shaitan, this is number 1. Number 2, you slaughter. Number 3, you shave. Number 4, you do the tawaf. Number 5, you do the sa'i. And then if you do that, you're done with like 80% of the Hajj. You can take off your ihram and put on your regular clothes, and everything that was restricted is restricted no more. Okay? But do you have to go in order? No, you don't have to. You can slaughter before you stone, you can stone before you cut your hair, you can cut your hair before you stone. You can change the order as you wish. But to follow this order is following the sunnah.
But you can't shave your hair till you do Jamra and or Tawaf, right?
No.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. As long as you do it on the day of Eid. Yeah. Okay. Do you have to kiss the black stone?
No.
You don't have to. As a man, you recommend it if you can, but if you cannot, that's fine. How about touching women in the tawaf? Sometimes in the tawaf it's really hard to control the people who are pushing you from behind, and there are some women right in front of you, and you unintentionally touch them because people behind you are just pushing you, Then in that case, It's not intentional. If something is unintentional, you're not going to get bad deeds for it, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, what time should you stone the shaitan? The devil. The first one on the day of Eid, what time?
It's after Fajr.
After sunrise and before zawal. That's the best time. But you can do it before. Like if there's a sister who cannot do it, they say they can do it before Fajr. That's fine. But that's the time frame, is after shuruq and before zawal. Okay. How about the 3 other days? Day 11, 12, 13. After zawal and before? And before Maghrib. Yes, mashallah. You studied well, brother. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. We're about to be done, inshallah. Can I delay the tawaf and sa'i? Tawaf al-Hajj or sa'i al-Hajj on the day of Eid. Can I delay them, or do I have to perform them on the day of Eid? You can delay them if you want, yes. Can I combine Tawaf al-Ifada and Tawaf al-Wada'? Yes, you can combine Tawaf al-Ifada and Tawaf al-Wada'. Can you do them on the day of Eid? If you combine them, you have to do them right before you leave. Because Tawaf al-Wada' is what? Tawaf al-Wada' is the farewell or the goodbye Tawaf. You have to do it right before you leave. The sisters on their cycles, do they have to do Tawaf al-Wada'? No. What if you miss Tawaf al-Wada' as a man? If you miss Tawaf al-Wada' as a man, you have to do fidya. No. Okay, can you feed or fast? No, you cannot feed or fast. You have to do the fidya. Isha is 10:15, so we have 3 more minutes, inshallah.
If you already forget and you leave Mecca, or they change the plan.
If you forgot, then you still have to do the fidya, because we said missing an obligation, we don't ask if you didn't know or if you forgot. Like, you have to do the fidya.
So you can ask someone to do it for
On your behalf? No, you do the fidya. Oh, to do the fidya. I thought you said to do the tawaf. Yes, you can do that, inshallah. Okay, can you do the sa'i before tawaf? Yes, you can do the sa'i, but it's better to do what? To do the tawaf first and then to do the sa'i. Okay. Can you start from Marwa instead of Safa? No, you have to start from Safa to Marwa and then from Marwa back to Safa. What is better? Is it razor shaving or just trimming your hair? Razor shaving is much better. Al-halq wa taqsir. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam da'a, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for the people who razor shave 3 times. Rahimallahu al-muhalliqeen. رحم الله المحلقين رحم الله المحلقين قالوا والمقصرين يا رسول الله قال والمقصرين. So he made 3 times dua for the people who razor shave and 1 time for the people who just cut their hair. Okay. We're about to be done, inshallah ta'ala. What time should you leave Arafah? We said after Maghrib. Okay. Should you read dua from a book when you're making tawaf? Is there a specific dua for every round? No, there isn't. And it's better that the dua should come from your heart, not from a book. Okay. What if you cannot find a place in Muzdalifah or in Mina? Just wherever the people end, just be next to the last one. It's a continuation, even if it's outside the borders of Mina or Muzdalifah. We're not talking about Arafah, we're talking about Mina or Muzdalifah, okay? Because sometimes it's packed, it's full. Huh?
Muzdalifah is too small.
Yes, it's too small and it's completely packed and full. Then find the last one and be next to them as a continuation. And then in that case, inshallah, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Can you stay outside of Mina for the Ayyam Tashriq? What if you don't sleep in Mina? Then you're missing what? You're missing wajib, you're missing an obligation because you have to be in them. Do you have to be in Mina for the whole night? No. For more than what? More than half of the night. More than half of the night. How do you calculate the midnight in Islam? Is 12 p.m. midnight? 12 a.m. midnight? No. Yes. The way we calculate midnight in Islam is not 12 a.m. So don't say, well, I have to wait until 12 a.m. 12 a.m. is not always the midnight. So the way you do it in Islam is you calculate how many hours between al-Maghrib, Adhan al-Maghrib, the sunset, And Adhan al-Fajr, not the sunrise, Adhan al-Fajr. Count how many hours and then divide it by 2. And then that's the midnight. So let's do it. What time is Adhan al-Maghrib? 8:40. What time is Adhan al-Fajr? 4:30. So that's how many hours? That's 8 hours. Divided by 2, that's 4 hours. So 4 hours from 8:40.
12:40.
So 12:40 is midnight. Okay, now, so midnight changes in Islam depending on whether you are in the summer or in the winter time. Okay, I think that should be enough. Does anyone have a question? You guys are ready for the Hajj? Inshallah. You have my phone number if you have any question. You'll find a lot of scholars there, but if you need, to contact me or text me, please don't hesitate to do that.
Just
Jazakumullah khair.
the question that is recurrent is leaving Muzdalifah.
Yes.
For example, my wife is Zawaj, but she can go by herself or she can wait.
Yes.
Like the Sunnah until the Salah. So what is
The Sunnah is to wait in Muzdalifah until Adhan al-Fajr. And you pray Fajr in Muzdalifah and then you move on to Mina. Men or women. But for some women who cannot do that, who cannot stay the whole night in Muzdalifah for some reason, then they are allowed to leave after midnight, after the Islamic midnight.
because most of groups, they will leave after midnight.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Yeah, they just want to avoid the crowds. Allahu A'lam. Okay, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام. أذن يا باشا. ممكن تعمل فينش. الوسط عندك تحت اليمين.